That conversation continued, by the way, through the commercial break with James Ham and Kyle Madsen. Lots of references to players who couldn't develop in Golden State. And I hadn't really thought about it before until Kenny kind of half jokingly said these Bay Area coaches can't develop young talent. I guess there is sort of a parallel with Trey Lance and some of the undeveloped or perhaps underdeveloped talent in the Golden State Warriors system. I don't know. We'll see. The 49ers play tomorrow. We'll say soon to be Hall of Famer Aiden O'Connell tomorrow for the Raiders. Wait, is Jimmy? The Raiders versus the Rams. Is Jimmy? I didn't actually look. Is he sitting out the preseason?
I don't know. I thought I heard that he might.
I feel like I would know if he was playing. I think the assumption is just he's not.
I don't think he's playing. I don't know if that means he's not going to play the last game or not. But I don't think he's playing tomorrow.
Raiders Rams joint practice day 2. Deep ball struggles for Jimmy Garoppolo. What a shocker! Who knew Jimmy Garoppolo would struggle throwing the ball deep? Man,
I know it's almost like he's confused with throwing the ball high and throwing the ball deep. Which one is the right thing to do? Because he definitely knows how to throw a high ball. Yeah, we learned that over the course of 4 or 5 seasons.
He does. Poor Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
I'm still rooting for you, Jimmy. Still got love for you, big dog.
I love you, Jimmy.
James, I don't know if you had the chance to see the article. Oh, let's stick with the schedule here just for a second, or I should say, let's start with the schedule. Following the schedule release, the official schedule release, and all of the different 22 national TV games and all of that good stuff. Predictions started to come out. Win total predictions started to come out. One that I saw, Bleacher Report, I credited this to Bleacher Report. That's where it came. And I think they partner with FanDuel, if I remember correctly, had the Kings pegged at 45 wins this upcoming season, 45-37. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's fair. Like, if we get to predictions at some point, I'll put it higher than that. Like my own opinion. But I'm also someone who watches the Kings play. So I have that going for me, where I clearly people who, would vote Domantas Sabonis as the most overrated player in the league clearly haven't watched him play for substantial amounts of time. So if I'm like going to guess, where I would put my prediction for the season, I'm probably going to go like 51-52.
Yeah.
So it's higher for sure, but I don't know that it's like in the grand scheme of things, is all that much higher. Like I like their schedule. Like they have some rough spots, but I also look at the front half of the schedule and, they play a ton of road games in November, but a bunch of bad teams as well. And so they're going to have opportunities there to get off to a good start. Their month of March is wild. Like they're at home. I think it's 11 out of 16 games at home. And that's what Kenny was asking. Like when we were going over the schedule, like really briefly, I hadn't really had time to go and sit down and look at the month of March at that point. And the month of March is like, that's when bad teams usually are on the road the whole time because the league knows that they're going to have trouble with attendance. The league knows that they're going to have trouble with engagement, that they're going to be looking for losses and not wins. And so to see the Kings have 11 home games and then, a 50-50 split in April, 4 games on the road and 4 games at home. So of your final, 24 games, something like 15 of them are at Golden One. That's big. That means that the league believes in you a little bit, that they think that you're going to be a quality team. And so, I mean, those are things that I would point to and like, hey, you get through the first month or 2 of the season and you have the ball rolling. This team, they've got a shot. They've got a shot to make a bunch of noise.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well, Hammer, because I think the Warriors have the same issue, so to speak, where they're on the road a ton to start the season. And, I just thought about what you said. Like, usually the good teams get that good March, April home schedule. And obviously, we're seeing that with the Warriors. Like, they're in the same boat as the Kings, kind of, where they're starting off on the road a lot early, and they, replenish those home games on the back end.
Yeah, I think what the league does a lot of the time is when you have a popular team, like the Golden State Warriors, but also like if we look at the Kings schedule, I'll point out too, they have 22, nationally televised games. Of the 22, 16 are at Golden One Center.
Mhm.
So the NBA likes what's happening in Sacramento. They like the ambiance. They like the crowd. They like the beam. They like what's happening. And they know that Sacramento brings like this ruckus, wild college atmosphere, which is something that you don't get on a Tuesday night in Atlanta. It's just not. You're not getting the same type of crowd. You're not getting the same type of electricity in the building. And so I really do think that like when we look at that as a piece of this, that's huge. But the normal NBA schedule, we all know, doesn't really start until Christmas, right?
Mhm.
So those first couple of like 6 weeks of the season, you're really just trying to get the thing going, the thing off the ground and like building some momentum. And that's where I think it is really like good to see that the Kings aren't going to be at home that whole time, that they will have a bunch of road games in November, because that's, again, it's while the league is trying to take off and some teams aren't taking it all that serious. The Kings aren't there as a team yet. They're a team that might have a better schedule, but they don't have a better schedule mentality yet. And so I expect them to go in there and really put on a show.
Hammer, that was something. Is you talked about the fans and the atmosphere. I think you had given us so much news about the schedule on Wednesday, and we knew we had 22 national TV games on Wednesday. But when we got the breakdown on Thursday, the official release, the thing that stood out to me the most about those 22 nationally televised games were that 16 of them were at the Golden One Center, and that speaks to what you just mentioned right there. What this crowd did in the playoffs, like we and we'll get to the Domantas Sabonis Sporting News article here in just a minute. Domantas Sabonis said at game 1 of the playoffs, that was the loudest game he's ever played in his life. And I think that entire series with the Warriors, the added Nets game, the added Knicks game, that was, and of course, the beam.
Yeah.
That got the league like, yo, we need to be in Sacramento this year. And that's not only a testament, I think, to the Kings, but that's a testament to the Kings fans who show up at the Golden One Center and help create that atmosphere.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely tremendous. And I'll also point out when Domantas Sabonis says something like that, right, that this is the loudest he's ever been in, right? You're playing the Golden State Warriors. There is not a situation that they have not been in. There's just not. Like, that team has been through every single possible scenario during their incredible run. So they're built to take on a situation like that. They're okay with whatever's happening because they've seen it. They've seen it all. And whether it's Toronto or whether it's against Cleveland or wherever it is on their path to their 4 championships, they know exactly how to walk into a gym and not worry about what's going to happen around them. They're only concerned with what's happening on the floor. And I think that's something that like the Kings have to learn. And it's something that they didn't even really learn during the season. The Kings were not good at home. For a team that won 48 games, only 23 of those wins came at home. If they can't figure out how to harness their home court this season, then they won't hit the 50-something win plateau. You just can't squeak out more than 25 wins on the road in the NBA. I mean, they led the Western Conference in road wins. You're not going to win 26, 27, 28 and somehow push yourself over the top and get to 50, 51 wins. They've got to be better at home. It's something that Luke Walton ranted about. It's something that Alvin Gentry basically wanted T-shirts made. Like, he was embarrassed. And it's still something that this team needs to figure out how to deal with. And part of it is that it's a crazy crowd. As soon as this team got good at all, every night became a sellout. Every night became more and more and more fans in the building. I mean, heck, during the season, they figured out a way how to add 300 or 400 extra seats in the building because we had an all-time high of like 17,009 something. And next thing you know, we're at 18,344 or something. So like the Kings themselves figured out a way to build because that's what their fan base was demanding. And I think the players need to get comfortable in that setting, and they need to embrace it, and they need to ride the wave of the crowd and allow the opposing team to feel what it's like to play in Sacramento. Because I mean, that's how the early 2000 Kings. I mean, we're talking teams that barely lost it all at home, and the Golden State Warriors, but last year barely lost it all at home. The Kings need to figure out how to harness that home crowd.
I'll just check with Damian. We're good till 28 here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll talk
about it. Yeah, no, we're good.
All right. Just because I actually wanted to follow up with James on that. In your opinion,
I thought someone had broken in. I was like, it's about to go down here in the studio. Kenny's looking around real weird. I don't know what it is. I realize he's now looking at the clock.
Well, I was looking to see if Jesse's not back.
Jesse's gone. Right, Jesse's like, the hell with this show.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I was going to ask you, though, James, why do you think that was? Like, why do you think they struggled last year particularly? You could talk about the couple years before. They just weren't good enough, even though they should have played better at home. And, Alvin Gentry is like, oh, even if you're not a great team, you should be able to take care of home court. I'll leave that out of that. Last year, why do you think they struggled so much at home? And I'll ask another flip side to that. Do you think it got better as the season went along?
I think it got a little bit better, but not great. Like that team should have won more games at home. The reasons, I mean, I think there are a million different reasons why a team struggles at home versus on the road. Like on the road is where you really bond and you become like a tight-knit group because you're going out to dinner all the time. You're doing all of these other like team building function things, you're going to the Civil Rights Museum or you're going to movies together, like whatever it is. There's a lot of team dinners. There's a lot of bonding that's happening where you just get to know each other. When you come back home, I've talked about this so many times about how the coaching staff in the front office, they all have all these little kids everywhere. So it's almost like when you get back, like everyone goes home because they got to go check and they got to go, play dad for a couple of days and let their significant others like have a break and take a breath and just be part of the family. Right. But the players have the same exact thing. I mean, we're talking about De'Aaron Fox, whose wife had a baby during the season. Domantas Sabonis, his wife had a baby at the end of not last season, but the season before. And then just a few days ago, like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, had their second child. Harrison Barnes had, August at home, which is like probably almost 2 years old or a little over 2 years old right now. So like these guys have real lives outside of basketball. And when you come home, there are those distractions, but I'll also point to the kind of the weird thing that happens with this team is that they came together on the court and played so effectively as an offensive cohesive unit so early, which is surprising because Sabonis had only played like 20 games. Trey Lyles had only played like 25 games with this team. Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, all brand new pieces to the team. So like the core group of this squad had just got together. Like the only guys who have been together on this team are De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes. That's it. So that also, like, while you're growing on the court and you're doing these things, I think there's also a point of like, this is new for everybody. What's happening in the stadium is new for everybody. They need to figure out a way to harness it, but they need to do that as a team because that really is like, it's a huge, huge advantage to have when you actually have fans. Because a lot of these teams are playing in front of nobody. Like, don't get fooled by camera angles. There are plenty of NBA arenas that do not have do not have 10,000 fans in the seats every night, especially during the week. And so I think that the newness of this whole thing, the newness of Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray never playing in front of a Sacramento audience before, it had an impact, and they need to embrace it as opposed to like almost being like shocked by it on a nightly basis.
You expect them to? Do you expect them to be better at home this year because of what you just said? Because the newness should have worn off by now, especially after that playoff series that they had against the Golden State Warriors, where it's loud as loud can be, and the beam is a thing, and they know, Domas again in that sporting news article, it's going to be different this year. We have expectations for ourselves. Our fans have expectations of us, and there's a little bit of a target on us because we were the 3 seed, got the beam, we got this gimmick people are into. Do you expect them to be better because all of those new things aren't new anymore?
Yeah, I do. I expect them to be a team, if they're as good as we think they are, as good as they were last season as a squad, then they need to show up and win 30 or win 28 games at home, because that's what a good team does. A good team takes care of home cooking, and you take advantage of the schedule in front of you. But that's a big deal because, look at any of the really, really high quality teams in the league. Almost every single one of them are, 10 games over 500. You can't be, just an okay home team. That's not okay, especially when you have, like, I don't know if you've seen the ticket prices. Whew. When you have ticket prices the way they are, when you have your fans paying big money to show up and support you, you need to show up each and every night and take it serious too. And then the other weird thing I'll point out too, which I brought it up last season, and I don't think anyone really caught on to it outside of like the handful of us that show up to shoot around. The Kings don't shoot around in their own building. They shoot around in the practice facility. And so to me, that's strange because I've seen so many coaches come through, and almost every single one of them, on game day, they shoot in the gym. They shoot inside the actual basketball gym, not in the practice facility. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I just like, as a recommendation, that might be one of those things that stands out, that you need to actually get more comfortable in your own surroundings. And every player comes out and they work out on the floor and they do their pregame stuff. But I still think like living in that space, as opposed to being a visitor in that space for just the evening, is different. And I think they need to get a little more comfortable in that space.
I think they will. I don't know about the shooting aspect, but I think they will play better at home. I got confidence in that. I could see them winning 30 games at home and 22, 23 games on the road or something like that, maybe a game or two over 500 on the road. And I think this is a 50-win team this year. I don't think they're going to take a step back. And when you were here last week, I kind of had the Kinpiphany.
Oh, the Kinpiphany. I coined that. I think you missed that, Damian.
Yeah.
He had a Kinpiphany.
Okay. And Damian, I said, this team got all the goods. They've got all the goods to be a mid-50s win type team. They got it all. They got shooting everywhere. They got a playmaker. They got a dominant big. They're well coached. Mm-hmm. They've got the cohesion. I know, I understand anybody who's like, I need to see it again this year. But I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, now you got Sasha on there, or whatever. Who are you leaving open? And if that's nobody, who's guarding Fox? You know what I mean? And I just had a moment, had a Kinpiphany where I just said, yo, this team is for real. It's kind of scary to think of because we're sitting here. I think a lot of people in Sacramento are sitting here like, man, is this really real? Like, are we really back where we don't have to worry about a drought and we're, a real perennial playoff team? And that can be a little nervous to some fans. I'm off that. This team is for real.
Yeah,
I'm convinced.
Kenny, I think one of the things, it's the depth, the quality of depth. I'll take their bench up against almost any bench in the West. Like their bench is very good. So while you see a team like Denver, they lose like 2 huge bench pieces, and Bruce Bowen and Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, and Jeff Green. That's huge, right? You look at the Golden State Warriors bench. It's young, it's inexperienced, and then you got Chris Paul and whatever is going to happen there. But you just dumped your 20-point per game bench scorer in Jordan Poole. You keep losing veterans because you don't have any money. You look at the Phoenix Suns bench. Yeesh. These are problems that other teams are going to deal with. Even I bring up the Memphis Grizzlies. They're going to be without John Morant for a long time. They traded their backup point guard. They let Dylan Brooks walk. They brought in Marcus Smart, but they still have Brandon Clark out for a huge portion of the season with what was an Achilles, right?
Please.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of teams that don't have just everything lined up. And, you always want like two guys at every position at least, right? And I think the Kings can say that. They have really, really solid depth all the way across the board, where we're talking about a guy like Chris Duarte, who might not even be able to be part of the main rotation, at least not initially. Maybe he is, but he's that half man. He's not he's not going to get full minutes. And so this is a deep team where the competition level is going to be strong. But also if you have a man go down, you probably have the ability to have someone step up and fill the spot, as long as it's not, say, Domantas Sabonis, which you'll have people that can fill the spot, the minutes, but whether they can fill the role is different. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's where I think it separates for me that this team is probably better than some of the others. And I get it all the time. Oh, the Kings won so many games because, they didn't have any injuries. It's like, okay, well, they also practice harder than everyone else. They practice more days than any team I've ever seen. And, they kept in good shape, and I'm not going to blame them. They had guys play through injuries. I'm not going to blame them for being tough and for being in good shape and for practicing all the time and staying in good shape. All right. Let's see if it's a recipe that works next season, or if you have to cut back a little bit, but still, I like what this team does, and they're prepared and they're healthy a lot because they work hard.
I love that whole concept. I've always loved the Kings were too healthy conversation. It's just that's the only reason they're here. Game 7 ends and De'Aaron Fox goes to the podium. Hey, just sorry to the NBA. We didn't mean to stay healthy this long. We if we had just suffered one injury, maybe we would have been out here. But we're really sorry we were healthy when the Clippers weren't, or this team wasn't, and this team wasn't. It's the most absurd excuse. What you could have just said, every person who said, well, the Kings are healthy, what you could have just said is, you know what? I ain't watch. They've been bad for 16 years. I had no interest in watching.
All you have to say.
But they started regurgitating this line about the team being too healthy.
Here's a novel idea. How about you don't load your roster with players that are always hurt?
Well, there's one.
I don't know, like Phoenix Suns. I don't know, Los Angeles Clippers. Maybe that's one way to avoid missing 120 games to injury, is to not have players who typically get injured all the time.
Or maybe don't play 3/4 of your payroll to 4 guys.
Well, yeah, that too.
Build out your roster a little bit stronger. Top of your head, real quick. Winner gets, I don't know, a cupcake from Breeze Cupcakery. Who's ready? Everybody ready? Yeah. Who's the 5th Phoenix Suns starter?
Eric Gordon.
I don't know.
I think it's Josh Okogie.
I was throwing it out there.
But the funniest thing, who is it? Is it a power forward?
No, it would. I mean, I guess because it's not a point guard.
Yeah, unless you put KD at the 4, but you wouldn't do that. I think it's Josh.
Anybody know?
That's my guess, Josh Okogie.
Okay, I don't know who it is. That was a question.
Maybe it's Chimezie Metu.
There's one. Kevin Durant loves Chimezie Metu. That's probably what. That performance against Brooklyn on national television might be the reason Chimezie Metu is in Phoenix right now.
The Kings shot what out of the ball?
That's not. I don't know why I hate that line that Kevin Durant used. I just hate it. But they
shot the heck out of.
They shot the heck out of the ball. We'll come back. James was talking about practicing harder than everybody else. Well, Davion's got a video circulating on Twitter. That's not just Davion. We'll talk about it. Steele and KC with our 1320 Kings insider James Ham here on Sacramento Sports Leader ESPN 1320. I'm going to get up here for a second, guys.
Sweet.
Sage Steele says the late Barbara Walters elbowed her into the trash can backstage during an appearance in The View. Good. My thoughts exactly.
I'm just wondering, first of all, Barbara Walters is probably in her 80s. Didn't she make it to 90?
I think so.
So you got body, but I'm confused. Now I have to look Barbara Walters up.
Barbara Walters coming down the hallway like a hockey player, cross-checking Sage Steele into the boards.
I mean, Sage Steele needs to like
go away.
Well, I mean, she needs to kind of like check herself there. Like, what are you exactly saying? So, yeah, Barbara Walters was born in 1929 and died in 2022. So what do we have her there? It's 71 and 22. She was 93 years old. So, I mean, next is Sage Steele gonna like say that like Betty White like pushed her down?
Barbara
Like
Walters
Estelle Getty got you? Like
she's probably doing The View 10 years ago because she stopped doing it a while ago. So let's just say 10 years.
So she was 83.
You just elbowed your ass into the trash.
I'm just like, come on now. Like in Barbara
now.
And Barbara Walters isn't very, very tall at all.
No.
I mean, I'm confused.
And Sage brings this up thinking somebody's going to feel bad. All we're doing is laughing at you.
Okay, so Barbara Walters was diagnosed with dementia and progressed quickly in late of 2017. She died in 2022, but I think that she had stopped doing anything probably around 2016, 2017. Yeah, so I'm just confused. And did you see this quote by her? This 140-year-old woman just tried to tackle me. Like that's
Barbara should have slapped her up again for calling her a 140-year-old woman.
Like what in the world? That's crazy. Barbara Walters, 5'5".
A little taller than I expected.
Yeah, me too.
5'2".
Sage Steele height. Let's look up Sage Steele's height. 5'11".
Oh, hell no.
You done got bodied.
Oh, man.
You couldn't imagine telling the world, hey, I got checked by an 83-year-old the other day.
I mean, come on. Like, if it was Dorothy from the Golden Girls that bodied you, I'd be like, all right, I got you. Like, you know, if Rue McClanahan got you, or Estelle Getty, or Betty White, like, you just shut up. You don't tell people that. Like, come on now.
Sage Steele's big ass.
Just 5'11".
By Barbara Walters. I did not know Sage was 5'11". That's embarrassing.
That's not good. Barbara Walters trucks her. That's awesome.
I was bullied.
Wow.
I can't imagine how much it would hurt if I found out everyone who works in this building hates me. Because that's literally what Sage Steele was. Like, everyone inside that building hated her. And that's a big ass building.
I don't really know the story there. I just, you know,
all of the anti-blackness that she possesses is one thing. Like, she's just a shitty person. She just wasn't a good person.
I don't know that I've met her.
Wait, what? Is it, David? Is that a shoe? What is it? What is that? That's not real.
Your favorite radio station's favorite radio station.
What?
What show was that's the David's being silly. The Hot Talk 1140 is funny. David's being silly. That didn't happen.
Nice.
We're coming back, James. James, did you get a chance to hear Dame Dolla's new album, Don Dollar?
Nope, missed it. I did see that he mentioned Emmanuel Quickly in it, but
I actually missed that. What did he say about Emmanuel Quickly?
He
something
quickly like Emmanuel, or
okay, a positive name drop, not a diss track.
Yeah, I don't think it was a diss track.
It's like when every rapper used to say, "Get robbed like Ori."
No.
Everyone used that bar.
Yeah.
Who
are they talking about, Kenny? It's not good.
No.
That's one of the albums that dropped today that I didn't really get a chance to catch up on, man, but I will. It's my job to listen to music.
Absolutely.
So we'll do that.
It's
Hammer.
not mine.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Till you guys rope me in. Yeah.
James Ham's pick of the day over here on 102.5 KSFM. That would be
Quiet
something.
Storm.
That would be something. James, you reposted a video from Davion Mitchell. I bring that up only because you were just talking about how hard this team worked last year, how much they practiced. Obviously, off-season videos are always fun to see. There's no question Davion is in the gym. No one ever wonders that, man. But Davion wasn't in there alone. It looks like he's out there with Kevin Huerter. We've seen shots of, I guess, De'Aaron and some of those guys did a camp with Steph's shooting coach or trainer.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have been busting their ass, it seems, all off season.
Yeah, Davion's been working with Steph's shooting coach all summer. We're seeing that the arc is gone. With good. I don't know what happened there. Which I mean, it's funny because he's there doing Rico runs. That's what where we saw the video. He's down with Rico Hines. I think it's on the campus of UCLA where they have all of these players come in and have like full-fledged, basketball, like open gym type stuff with Rico Hines. And Rico Hines is, of course, the one who worked with Davion on that shot and tried to create something there. And I don't blame somebody for trying something, but it clearly wasn't working. And like Davion he should not be like 32, 33% 3-point shooter. Like this is a guy who shot in the 40s in college and should be around 37, 38 because most of his 3-point shots are perfect catch and shoot opportunities off the hand of Domantas Sabonis. So like he's got to figure that one out. But I also, like I told you guys, I think it was last week or the week before, like I don't really worry about Davion as an offensive weapon. I just need him to fit in. Like as long as he doesn't look like he's a broken cog on a machine, then we're okay. Like as long as he's moving the way that everyone else is moving and not holding onto the ball and not over dribbling and not overthinking, then I'm perfectly fine with him. I just think, he needs to settle in and find his niche and he'll thrive like everyone else has in this offense. But I'm not worried about the shot.
In your time following these guys or reporting on the Kings, how often do you see these guys go and work like Davion's at the Rico Hines joint and it translates to them like taking off the next year? Like, is a lot of that stuff, can people be fooled by that? Or is it like, because I look at Davion and I just see him being unguardable out there. How many times do you think it translates to like big time success in the actual season?
Well, I mean, it just depends. Like, I know Harry Giles put up like 42 points in the open Miami, like pro-am stuff. Like that stuff's fine and all, guys going for 80 up in Seattle. But I think where you really start to see it play out is number one in high level competition, like Rico runs, like there's always a ton of NBA talent on the floor at all times. And like what Damian's question really to start was like, it was good to see him out there with some of his teammates. The video is Davion Mitchell playing with Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes. Like they're on the same team playing together there. He fed Kevin Huerter with a bounce pass, who was cutting to the rim on a backdoor cut, just like absolutely spectacular. So I think where it translates, and I'll bring this one up. I think it was like 3 years ago, we showed up to training camp and we started hearing murmurs of it for like a week or two before that. Holy cow, De'Aaron Fox looks like a different player. And it was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. He's coming in here and he's destroying everyone. They're doing 5-on-5. They're having a good time. He hasn't lost a game. He's killing everyone. And so we get to training camp, and that was a buzz. Like, my goodness, like whatever's gone on in his offseason, he's become the dude. And sure enough, that's the season he busts out for like 25 points a game, and he's just incredible. So yeah, there are times where players have these huge moments where they just take off and they become something different, like during an off season, and then they show up to camp and it does translate. So I would expect that from him. I would expect the experience from Summer League and from Team USA playing on the select team from Keegan Murray to fully translate. And the rest of these guys, you hope that they come in great shape, because that's truly what you're looking for. You show up on media day and you're like, who looks like they did something extra in the offseason? And last season it was Trey Lyles who dropped 20 pounds, and you're just like, wow. Like, and a couple of years ago is Caleb Swanigan, who had dropped 40 or 50 pounds. Like, he looked incredible coming into camp. And then of course, bad things happen there, but that's what you're always looking for.
Yeah, I love the prospect of Davion, and I don't mean to harp on this so much with Kevin Huerter. I know I've brought it up before. Kevin Huerter was a guy who just admitted I wasn't in the shape I needed to be for what Mike Brown wanted to do with this team, for the way that we ran. That's not going to happen again. So it's cool to see. Like, I knew he was going to work, but to see him out there with his teammates and the rest of those NBA guys, like putting in that work, getting ready for another offseason. This thing we were talking about with Zion. If you recognize you had a problem last season, you got to set out to fix it. Davion Mitchell recognized he had a problem. I think his is a little bit more difficult to address, but he recognized he had a problem and his shot wasn't falling. I'm going to work on my shot this offseason. Kevin Huerter recognized he wasn't in the shape that he needed to be in entering this season. He's going to be in different shape when training camp rolls around here in a month or so or whatever it is.
Yeah, and like in Kevin's defense and in Malik's defense, and a lot of these players, they did not know what they were getting into. Like, nobody knew. No one has. Mike Brown hadn't been a head coach in 6 years. Harrison Barnes, had been on a team with him at one point, I believe. He knows some of the guys, but like to be in that offense, to be in that gym, in the practice, like, you really don't know until you get there. And every single player was like, holy cow, these practices are long, like an hour longer than anyone else has ever run a practice at the NBA level. And I don't know, again, if we're going to have that same exact thing this year, but I'm also going to give some of these guys a little bit of a break, because when they ran out of gas midway through the season, and it happened to multiple players, when they ran out of gas, whether it was Huerter or it was Malik, it was because they had taken on a new role in a new offense, and the movement was different, and they're moving off ball way more than they ever have in their entire careers. They're being asked to do more than they ever have, and they ran out of gas. And so that's where, like, you get to the summer, you get through your exit interview where you have honest conversations about things like this, but then you get with your training staff or whoever it is that you work with during the off season, and you have an honest assessment of yourself and how you could be better and how you can help the team. And again, how you can avoid becoming an afterthought on this team, because this team is talented. And if you're not going to show up to camp in great shape, you're going to get left behind. And like, this team isn't waiting around. They're not, like the San Francisco 49ers, they don't have time to wait around for Trey Lance to figure it out. Either he figures it out or he doesn't. They don't have time to wait. With this team, it's the same thing. Like, hey, look, man, if you're not in good shape coming into camp, I think Chris Duarte will be. And he's been working out with Domantas Sabonis all summer. So if you're not in good shape at the center position, Alex Len will be ready. Someone will be ready to take your job. And so, that added pressure, it's a good thing. And I think this team will be ready.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that, that competition aspect to this team, and it's iron sharpens iron. And it reminds me of what Pete Carroll would do at USC. He's like, I don't care who you are. If you're not ready, if this newcomer comes in, or even a guy that was here last year comes in and is playing better than you, your spot is in jeopardy. And you've got to stay on your P's and Q's, keep your game tight at all times to keep your job. And I think, to a lesser extent, because this is the pros, but I think that's something that could be the case here with Sacramento, with guys like Duarte and Kobe Jones, and these guys that are just hungry and that'll scrap. It's going to make the Malik Monks, the Kevin Herters, Trey Lyles, Sasha come in here and compete. I love it. I love the competition aspect of it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, during my time covering this team, I mean, like, we had Jason Thompson for as many, like, quirks to his game as he had, and that he didn't reach the heights that people thought he might after his rookie season. I think his rookie season statistically is still his best season. I will tell you that every single year Jason Thompson came in better and better and better shape. By the time he was like 6 years into the league, he was a monster. He had trimmed down. He was nothing but muscle. He'd fixed like his strange foot, like his feet used to face the wrong way. Like the dude worked so incredibly hard. And then, we had like the situation where, Dante Green gained like 30 pounds in the offseason. And they're like, we told you were competing for the small forward spot. He goes, well, I thought I was probably going to play a little bit more power this year. And they're like, well, who told you that? And that was his excuse for why he didn't work out. Like he didn't work out. Or again, Chuck Hayes came in the 1 year and the Kings signed him to a big deal. And then they voided the deal because he didn't pass his medical because of a heart issue. He got that taken care of. They gave him the deal. He shows up to camp that year and he wasn't in great shape the next year. And, he goes on the radio and talks about how he doesn't really play basketball in the offseason. He just loves to play tennis. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. That you look like someone who sat there and shagged balls and like had a tennis machine send balls to you at the same exact position on the court for the whole summer. And you didn't even do it outside because it didn't look like you sweat out any weight. And, so you have some guys that take it serious and other guys, and again, Buddy Hield was a workout warrior, like flat out workout warrior.
It showed.
Yeah. And then Marcus Thornton gets hit in the knee. I mean, gets hit in the mid thigh and has a deep thigh bruise. He's out for 6 weeks, where most players are out like a week. But, if you don't want to lift weights, if you don't want to do the other aspect, you just want to be in the gym shooting the ball, that's fine. But these other guys that are out there, man, they're built and you don't want to sit there and mess with that. So, yeah.
That might be the one thing I respect about Buddy. Like he worked as not and man, I feel like maybe this is overly simplistic on my part. He worked his ass off, and he was available. Now we can debate whether that's a good thing or not, but he was always available to play, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And he's only missed a handful of games ever.
Yeah, that seems like an easy connection to me. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. I mean, things happen. I'm not saying it's a cure all to injury, but like you talk about deep thigh bruise, you talk about like things like that. I think there are certain injuries that are more playable through, which that is a horrible sentence, but everybody knows what I mean by it. That you could do, like if you're in shape and if you work out and if you take care of yourself, and it's not just bench press and bicep curls and squats, it's foam rolling and yoga and Pilates and things like that keep your body limber and in shape and prepared for, to use a word Kyle Madsen used earlier when talking about Nick Bosa, keep it a little bit more calloused.
Yeah. I mean, how many videos do we see Buddy Hield with the ropes and then they slow it down? It's like, whoa, whoa. But with Buddy, like you have there's usually two different types of guys in the NBA. You have your workout warriors and you have your gym rats. Every once in a while, you have a workout warrior and a gym rat in the same player. And so I think as the league has gotten more and more sophisticated over the last 2 decades, it's become a lot more strength training, a lot more yoga, a lot more of that stuff that is mandated. But that doesn't mean that you still don't have these guys that, that are in the gym until 3 o'clock in the morning shooting like 2,000 shots a day. Like Buddy Hield, clearly, Buddy Hield is one of the great 3-point shooters the game has ever seen. Just flat out. He is. And he's in great shape. He's always available. Like these are things that actually make him worth the contract that he earned. The problem is like the basketball IQ and his ability doesn't always match up. And so sometimes you have problems, whether it's on the defensive end or you have problems, with, just like poor decision making. But at the same time, like you can get behind a guy like that and you can support and you can pay a guy like that because he's doing the work and he's going to continue to do the work. Just like, again, Davion Mitchell. Like, you don't have to love everything that Davion Mitchell does. Nobody is outworking Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts. I mean, it is.
I love that about Davion. And
Yeah.
even like you mentioned about Buddy as well. It's like, I'm going to get the absolute most I can out of my talent, out of my body to try and be the best basketball player I can be. And all you can do is respect that. You respect that aspect of their game and their approach to their profession, their approach to their career. So Davion Mitchell, I got hyped seeing that video, man. He looks like, a guy that is going into his third season in the NBA, and the game is starting to slow down and become easy. I'm not saying he's going to score 20 a night, but as a backup going against like other backups and sometimes maybe lower tier starters or something like that, it feels like he's going to be able to do what he wants on the offensive end a lot of the times with his quickness, his handle, and if the shot comes along.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you with Davion, it's always going to come down to one thing. It's how quickly does he think the game? And for me, that's always the issue. And it's because the Kings play a specific style. So even when I'm watching the video, I'm watching him dribble a lot. And I'm watching him make some great drive and dish moves. There's only two guys on this Kings roster that get to do that. And that's De'Aaron Fox and it's Malik Monk. And both of them do it within the flow of who they are and what they are in the offense. So I hope that that's something that he's working on. Like, being a floor general is not who he's going to be. He's got to be really an off-ball shooting guy. He's got to watch, less Chris Paul and more of Seth Curry. And like, learn how to play off the ball. Sometimes you can take the ball and go in when someone runs out at you, but you need to like figure out like who you are within the confines of your team, and that's your NBA team. And you don't strip it down so you can't do those other things, because there could be an opportunity for you to go somewhere else and be someone else for some other team. But if you're going to fit into the team that you're playing for, it's on you to figure that out and to get in the right spot and to think the game the right way. And so those are things that, while I love seeing him work and get ready for this upcoming season, and I want to see his 3-point shot get better and all these things, it really does come down to, are you thinking about the game the right way? And is that what is driving you all off season? How do I fit into this system?
You think the Kings have a little bit of a target on their back this year? You think teams are gunning for them?
I don't.
No?
No, I still think that we're looking at the same usual suspects. I think teams like the Lakers, teams like the Warriors, teams like the Suns, teams like even the Denver Nuggets, I still don't think they have that huge target on their back. Like, I don't. I think there's a lot of teams that just flat out get overlooked. I think we're going to have the hype teams. OKC will be a hype team. I think Utah will be a team that's getting some hype, like just in the Western Conference. I think
quiet that down night one. Shut that off.
Exactly.
Turn that model.
Yeah.
That's funny. If Zion is healthy, the Pelicans will be one of those teams. So you have your hype teams, but then I think you have your teams that everyone like has a huge amount of respect for and already thinks that they're a certain level. And then you have a couple of teams that are around the Kings range that people just aren't quite sold on yet and need to see it again.
I feel like it's the Beam.
I think they hate the Beam.
You don't like the Beam, didn't like? Think about and this is probably my fault. Actually, we'll blame the Hall of Famer Mark Spears, because it was Mark Spears who told us a day or two after that Minnesota game late in the season. He came on this radio show and said, they were chirping after that win. Like, they were talking about ain't gonna be no Beam tonight. Like they're aware of it. Like, it's a thing. We go, they block that stuff out. They don't care about. No, they don't want the light the beam chant. They don't want that stuff. So I wonder now, after a run, after a playoff series and all that, if it's like, hey, let's go. Ain't gonna be no beam lit tonight. Let's go, boys. Maybe that's not a target. Maybe that's just normal pregame talk.
We'll see. They need to show up at home. That's for sure. They need to light that beam as many times as they can.
Yeah, that's right. at
the
the
beam at the end of the game 7.
Well, no, at the yes, the
at
golf
the golf
thing.
thing,
Yeah, at the golf thing, they were chanting "Light the beam" at Steph Curry. He said it pissed him off. That's why he won. Maybe Kings fans should stop chanting "Light the beam" at Steph Curry. Maybe we chant.
Leave Steph alone.
Maybe we chant it at everybody else, and we just give Steph a nice golf clap. Yeah.
Note to self.
Yeah.
Don't taunt the greatest shooter the game has ever seen. I don't know.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Or guard him 1 or 2.
Well, they tried. Like, I mean, how many people have we
tried putting all 5 guys on him?
They didn't. They didn't.
They didn't try putting Davion on him in the
Well, stop bringing up
game
old
7.
stuff.
That's why he's working on his jump shot. He said we ain't having that no more. Well, TD's still unrestricted.
Why the hell doesn't Terrence Davis have a job?
I don't know.
He'll get a job. He'll get a summer invite. He'll be in a camp.
That's a
He'll be
little
in a camp.
silly. Terrence Davis is a good ball player.
I agree.
Again, I know we're biased, but Terrence Davis is a good ball player.
Oh, he can score for sure.
Yeah, the man scored 30 on national television and isn't on the roster right now. Y'all act like he's 38 years old. Get that man on the team. James, great stuff as always. You can get more wonderful content from James Ham over at thekingsbeat.com. They got a YouTube channel. Of course, they got a tremendous podcast available wherever you get podcasts.